Good morning, this is Ms. Billerbeck, and we're going to talk about percentage increase and decrease. And the sound in the background is not a bunch of kids at recess. That's 300 goats eating weeds for fire suppression. All right, so when we look at percent increase and decrease, increase equals increased value minus the original value. So when we set up the percentages here, we have increase over the original value equals the percent increase over 100%. This is a little different from your workbook, but as I've been saying, there's a standard setup. If you can remember to always put percent over here, always put 100% here, and then whatever the percent is in the problem goes right here. Your original value always goes here, and what relates to the percent that you're discussing in the problem goes here. Okay, so once you know this one way to set it up, then you can solve all the percentage problems. Okay, so here's an example. Mr. Lee's monthly expenses increased from $3,200 to $3,400. Find the percent increase. That's a little increase there. Got a little messed up. Okay. So first we want to find what the increase is because we're only finding the percent increase. So the increase is going to be 3,400 or 3,400 minus 3,200 or 3,200, and that's just going to be 200. Okay, so that's in dollars. So when we set the problem up, we have $200 goes on top. It increased from, so the from number is right here, 3,200. So that's the original value, the 3,200. So that relates to 100%, and we're trying to find this. So what we're going to do is multiply both sides by 100%. And when we multiply both sides by 100%, that cancels this out. And we can take a few zeros out before we start working. So now we have 2 divided by 32 times 100. So let's take our dry erase calculator over here, and we're going to have 2 over here, and we're going to put the 32 here. This top dog goes into the house. So there are 0 32s in 20, but when we look at perhaps how many will be in 200. So if we round this to 30 and think about how many 30s go into 200, that would be about 6. So let's try that. So 6 times 2 is 12. And then we have 192. So when we subtract this, we borrow 1 from here. This becomes a 9, and we give 1 to that. Okay, nature is definitely loud this morning. So then we look at how many 32s are in 80. So that's about 2. So we have 64, which is 16. Okay, we could go on, but we are doing percentages. So when we multiply by 100, so we have 100% times 0.062. Okay, so that's going to be the decimal will move over 2 spots, so we're going to have 6.2%. Now we could have gone 1 more over and looked at, well, do we need to round that 2 up? So 32, there's about, and 30s, there's about 5. Actually, we did need to round that up. So there's 32 times 5 is 160. So we would have had a 5 right there. So that would have been your percentage. All right. Okay. So the next example, we have a store sold 250 shirts last week. The sales of shirts increased by 16% this week. Find the sales volume for this week. Okay, so sales volume will include the increase. So it's the total amount. So it sold 250 shirts last week. So one thing we know is when we set this up, the 250 is going right here. And that's going to relate to 100%. Now we have increase by 16%, so that's 100% plus 16%. And we don't know what this value is, but that's going to be the total amount of shirts sold with a 16% increase. So this just equals 116 over 100. The percents cancel because they're top and bottom. Now, if we multiply, let's move this down here and let's simplify. Can we simplify? Let's see if we can take out a 4. So that gives us, yes, we can take out a 4. Okay, so that gives us 2, and then there's 36, so 29 over 25, so that makes it a little easier. So that equals 29 over 25. And then we're going to multiply both sides by 250. All right, so we have x equals, we see that we have a 25 top and bottom, so we can take this out of here, and there's 10 here. So 29 times 10 is 290 shirts sold. So that's how many shirts were sold with a 16% increase for the week. All right. Let's talk about percent decrease now. Okay, so percent decrease, we have decrease equals the original value minus the decrease value. Now for increase, let's look at the difference in these formulas. So the increase, the original value is here, and we're subtracting it from the increase value. But with the decrease value, it's getting smaller than the original value. So we take the original value minus the decrease value. All right, so we set this up with decrease percent here over 100%, decrease over the original value. Now we want to solve the problem at hand. So we have the water level in the tank decrease from 30 inches to 25.5 inches. What's the percent decrease? So if we take 30 inches over here and we subtract 25.5, and we carry a 1 and make that a 9, and we have 0.54. So we lost 4.5 inches. That's our decrease. So we're going to write 4.5 inches over the original, which it was 30 inches. Not what it's decreased to, but how did it start? It started at 30 inches. And that 30 inches was 100%. We don't know what the decreased value is, so that's what we're trying to find. So now we're going to multiply both sides by 100%. And let's see. So we'll have to use a little bit of a dry erase calculator there. So we have 4.500, and we've got 30 on the outside. Decimal here. There's 130 and 4.45. So we're going to put the 30 here, subtract, and we have 5 of those. And we're done. So we have 100% times 0.15, which equals 15%. So it was a 15% decrease in the height of the water. All right, we have the air temperature of a town was 32 degrees Celsius. It decreased by 12.5% after a heavy rain. What is the new temperature? All right, so we use our normal setup. So it was 32. So that was our original temperature. So we're going to put that over 100%. Okay, so we have a decrease of 12.5. So we're going to have 100% minus 12.5% over here. And we're trying to find the new temperature. All right, so let's look at, well, what is 100 minus 12.5? So, okay, we have 5 and 7 and 8. So it's 87.5. So we can quickly check our math by doing 5 plus 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. Then 1 plus 2 plus 7 is 10. And 1 plus 1 plus 8 is 10. So that works. So we have x. Let's first see if we can simplify here. So we have 87.5 over 100. Okay, well, let's just leave it as is. So we have x over 32 degrees Celsius equals 87.5 over 100. So since x is being divided by 32, we do the opposite operation of multiplying by 32 degrees Celsius on both sides. That cancels the 32 degrees Celsius, so we have x equals, and then we multiply all of this. I'll just go ahead and do this. So we're multiplying these two. So let's use 87.5 times 32. And we have 10, 15, 17. We want to leave a space here. Then we have 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 7 is 21, plus 1 is 22, and 3 times 8 is 24, plus 2 is 26. So we add these two together. Okay, so we have, move the decimal, don't forget those decimals. Okay, so we have 2,800 divided by 100. Well, we can just knock those zeros off. So x is 28 degrees Celsius. And there you go. All right, our last example. This one had a lot of examples. Okay, so a St. Bernard's weight drops to 62 kilograms after its weight decreased by 7%. What was the dog's original weight? To the nearest kilogram. Okay, so they gave us what it decreased to. So we're going to put that here. And we don't know what the original weight was, but we know that it decreased by 7%. Okay, so if it decreased by 7%, that's 93% over 100%. So we want to cross multiply on this. So let me write this so you can see how I'm cross multiplying. And we don't need these percent signs anymore because they're on both of them. Okay, so we're going to multiply these two and multiply these two. So we end up with 93x equals 6,200 kilograms. And we have 93 multiplying by x, so we do the opposite operation to hit the x alone. So we divide by 93. And that cancels that out. So then we have just x. So let's come over here to our dry erase calculator. 6,200's on top. So it gets the house and 93. So 90 goes into 60. 60. Let's see. That would be, that's going to be 54. 6 times 54, 7 was 63, yeah, so 6, 18. And then we have 6 times 9 is 54, plus 1 is 55. All right. So we have 2 here, we have to carry another one. So that gives us a 62. We drop it down and we have the same thing. So we have 6 again. And then we know what that is. It's 558. And we subtract. And we get the same thing. We get 62. We drop another down. And it looks like it's just going to be repeating. So x is 66 point, and this is kilograms, so let's round it up. So if it's 66, this one here is what we're rounding, and this is 5 or more, raise the score, 4 or less, let it rest. So 6 is greater than 5, so this one, the 6 goes up. So we have the St. Bernard originally was 66.7 kilograms. All right. Well, that's it for 7.1 or 7.3, excuse me. So next we'll do 7.4, and have a wonderful day.